What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. I'm pretty sure a lot of you are in this situation where you want to see if your VR headset works with your laptop. I know PC building has gotten a little bit easier in the last 2 years. You can buy AMD processor online easily now. You can buy Intel processors, they're all available. You can actually buy graphics cards right now off Amazon, buy some AIB cards, which is crazy. In the last 2 years, I've never thought I'd be able to say that. But I know it's still pretty pricey for some people, and some people may not have the space for one. Some people just want a work laptop that they can do their work, they can play games, and then they can travel with. And I was running into a Discord conversation with someone who was debating on what laptop they should get for some VR gaming. I know with the Quest 2, it's cool, but the Quest 2 is everyone's entry point lately into the VR space. Mine was my first ever headset was the Rift S. My first experience in VR was the HTC Vive. With the Quest 2, the cool thing about it is that you have that, obviously, that standalone experience through Meta's like ecosystem with their games. And if you have a laptop that's a gaming laptop with a Quest 2, you can run virtual desktop and play some Steam VR games. With the PC VR space, it's grown and gotten so cool lately, especially with all the mods, the plethora of like VR experiences you can play, from small indie to AAA, you could say. There's a huge catalog of VR games, and you're not limited to Meta's ecosystem and their storefront. A lot of you could be thinking, can a laptop even run in VR? How, if it does, is it enjoyable? Is it choppy? How's the quality? And you're like, well, what kind of laptop do I need? Do I need to buy a $3,000 laptop just to run some VR games? So let's go into some detail about how this test is going to run. The details on my laptop, my gaming laptop, is an i7 10th gen 6-core 12-thread CPU with a 2070 Super. It came with 16 gigs of RAM, but I had upgraded it to 32. It came with 500 gigabytes NVMe M.2, but I bought a 2.5 Samsung SSD for about 2 terabytes. We're going to be running the games off of the 2.5 SSD for just lower speeds, just to see that, hey, do these games run on a laptop off of SSD? Try to make the scenario a little bit not difficult, but lower end budget, because some people's laptops might not have an NVMe. So let's see, okay, do these games run off of SSD on a laptop? Does it add more stress to the game? Does it drop the performance? So I wanted to make this test on this laptop as accessible to most people out there with a regular gaming laptop. For this test, we'll be running the games off of virtual desktop and not using the cable link. Most people that are getting into VR probably are getting a Quest 2. Figured I'd run that test too. If you're running through a cable link, the network and all that shouldn't be the problem. It's strictly just hardware. The router that I'm using, I have a dedicated router for my gaming network. So strictly for only VR, the only things connected to this network are my PC and my headset. So the router that I'm using is recommended actually from the developer of Virtual Desktop. It's the Alyx AX1800 with the Wi-Fi. It's a Wi-Fi 6 router. It's dual band, it has 5 gigahertz and everything. So you want a router like this. There are other routers out there. A lot of people have tested it for Virtual Desktop. This one amongst other ones. This was the best one that I found, that I preferred, and I just was like, might as well go with the one that the developer of Virtual Desktop went over. Now, in terms of, you know, do other ones work? How well do they work? I would recommend watching a lot of videos. Mac and VR has a video, you know, testing out different routers, and a bunch of people on other YouTube channels do this as well. So if you're using Virtual Desktop, I highly recommend getting a dedicated router for your VR headset. For the Virtual Desktop settings, right? If you're using Virtual Desktop, you have your desktop settings and your in-application settings. On my desktop, I have the preferred codec on automatic. I did this just in case to see, hey, like, is the GPU going under a lot of stress already? Let me just throw in automatic. Maybe the CPU can help out. So I put it on automatic. I took off automatically adjust bitrate. Those are the main two settings that, and allow remote connections. Those are the main settings on the desktop that I did. in the application, because of my internet connection, I was able to max out the bitrate speed to 150. I put the FPS at 90, and I turned on sliced encoding. If you want to know a little bit more detail on, you know, more details on the settings, what you should do, what you shouldn't do, these are the settings that work for me. I would recommend watching Mac and VR's video amongst a bunch of other people out there that have gone over testing virtual desktop with all different settings. Oh, also the quality has to be on medium. I put it on medium. The virtual desktop application will tell you what setting to put based off of the GPU you have. So I put it on medium setting, and I just put the settings to 90 FPS within the virtual desktop application and within Steam VR's settings. I have it all at 90 just to see, hey, can we reach 90? Is it stable? Do we get dips? I just wanted to max it out and see what games give us what. Now, in terms of the games that we're going to be testing, we're going to be testing Beat Saber, Pistol Whip, Pavlov, Blade and Sorcery, and the infamous Half-Life Alyx. I know there's a bunch of other games that we could have tested and you say, oh, this is popular, that's popular, but these are some of the more popular games out there on PC VR. Amongst, you know, they have a lot of mods. A lot of people play these type of games. We have the FPS aspect, we have the rhythm-based, a bunch of colors, animations, movement in front of us, like Pistol Whip and Beat Saber, Blade and Sorcery for all the mods, and just the quick turnarounds and reactions and see how the game performs on that and processes everything. And Half-Life Alyx for the immersion and the graphics, because a lot of people who are going to get PC VR, they're definitely going to be playing Half-Life Alyx, so that's kind of like the gold standard. So my experience mainly on PC VR is using my beefy computer. It has a 3090, 5950X CPU, 64 gigs of RAM, the list goes on. It's a beefy computer. So I'm going to be comparing my experience playing VR off of this computer compared to the laptop behind me. All right, the first game that we're going to be looking at is Beat Saber. Everyone's first intro to VR in the last couple of years. When you've tried VR, you've tried Beat Saber. It's one of the first games you've tried, along with Super Hot. So Beat Saber was a cool test, mainly because, number one, I mean, everyone plays Beat Saber. A lot of people play it. Some people just say, oh, this is my favorite game, that's it. And it's really good to test, mainly because there's a lot of different animations and things going on coming at you, especially when you start slicing things and cutting them up, and on two different ends from the left side and the right side. So there's a lot of different processing that needs to happen, and you need it to be smooth with no lag, because it is a rhythm-based game. You need to be accurate and everything. So you want to see how well your experience is. If the game is not running too well, this is the type of game that you're not going to have fun, because you're not going to do well. So with Beat Saber, I didn't really experience any lag or any stutters or anything. I was actually hitting, this is medium graphics, guys. Just a reminder, this is all medium graphics. I was getting a range of 80 to 88 FPS. Sorry I couldn't get the overlay to show up that was showing all the FPS and the latency counters. But I was constantly looking on, that's why if you're watching me play, I'm playing on easy and I'm still messing up sometimes, because I wanted to keep my eye on the FPS counter. So I was getting a range of 80 to 88 with pretty good smoothness, and it was a good experience. It's not, again, it's medium graphics, it's not super sharp, it's not crazy good looking, it's still very good looking. I would compare almost to the Quest 2, actually probably a little bit better. But it was still a solid experience. I felt like I was just playing VR. I just forgot that I was recording. I just kept playing. So for Beat Saber, the PC, the laptop worked pretty well. Next up is Pistol Whip. This is probably my more enjoyable rhythm-based game, because you definitely feel like John Wick. You're shooting people. There's a whole different element of gameplay in this compared to Beat Saber, but this is also a really more detailed rhythm-based game in terms of visuals. There's a lot more animations, a lot more movement in front of you. Guys are jumping in front of you. There's gunshots. There's a lot of different animations on the floor, and you're constantly moving forward, so you're not stationary. So I was kind of worried about this game specifically, if it was going to even run well, or if it was actually going to stutter. I figured, okay, if Beat Saber is going to work, this is for sure has to stutter. There's no way I'm gonna have a pretty smooth experience. I'm probably gonna hit 60 FPS or something like that. But actually, I got the same amount in range of FPS like I did in Beat Saber. I got about 80 to 88. I did have like a couple situations where it went to like 75, 78, but that was for like a split second. But for the most part, the average FPS I was getting in the low 80s, 83, 82 consistently. And the highest I would get in some parts, like 88, if there was like, you know, towards the end of the level, there was less animations, less things in my face, so I got 5 more frames a second. So it was still really enjoyable, really good. And you know, the standard for VR, everyone says 75 frames a second. Anything below that, you start feeling sick. But this one, we beat it. We hit the consistent 80 to 88 frames a second. All right, up next is Pavlov. Pavlov, you know, a lot of people say Pavlov or Onward. I just want to keep it at one first-person shooter game. Figured if one game's gonna work, most likely the other one's gonna work. And I already had Pavlov downloaded. I didn't have Onward downloaded on the laptop, so I just stuck with Pavlov. So with Pavlov, you're not only now just, you know, being forced to move forward. You're changing different directions. There's different enemies going in front of you. You're going up and down stairs. There's a lot more movement. A lot of people get, you know, their VR legs aren't too strong, or they have good VR legs, but even with the best VR legs and no motion sickness, if your frames are bad and your performance and experience is bad, you're not gonna have a good time with this, and you're gonna start feeling sick. With Pavlov, there was a wider range in FPS. Now, the max, there was points I was surprised in gameplay. I got like high 80s and 90 frames a second. It didn't last very long, but depending on the map, I tried several different maps, you would get about 90 frames a second. Like for a few seconds, it would drop back down to 80. In some parts where a lot of stuff were going on, I was getting 75. For like a split second, it would go up and down. These are all fluctuations in FPS. None of them really stayed, you know, in the in the 70s or stayed in the 90 FPS range. So for the most part, I was getting high 70, low 80 frames a second, which was still enjoyable. I played a lot. I played probably like 25 minutes of it. I forgot. I thought I was going to keep playing some matches, and I was playing against some bots. So excuse if I'm not doing too hot. Again, I kept it super easy just so I could get to see how the frames were. But Pavlov, solid experience on medium graphics on a laptop. It's very, very surprising that Pavlov worked pretty well. This for sure, I knew I was gonna have a lot of issues. I had a feeling there's no way you're doing constant quick rotations. There's a lot of different enemies, and it's a larger game for the most part. So now I tested 2 different scenarios in Blade and Sorcery. I went in sandbox mode just to see, because it's a larger map, and I went into arena mode. Sandbox mode, it was kind of struggling. There was a lot of pop-in. Again, it's sandbox mode. You know, it's expected. There's a lot of foliage, a lot of different environment assets around you. The rocks, some of them, as you get closer, they're smooth and they start getting edgy, and you get more detail. The little pop-in, the foliage, the water. The lowest I would get is 60 frames, but again, it didn't stay as a consistent 60 frames. It would shoot down, shoot back up. It's about like mid 70, high 70s, and like low 80s. So the range that I got was 60 to 85 frames a second. The average was about 75 to 80. That was more where I was staying within sandbox mode, but with a lot of pop-in. So I mean, it wasn't too bad. I mean, a lot of people, you know, don't really play. I mean, I personally don't play sandbox mode in Blade and Sorcery. I just put mods in and I just play an arena and I just start murking people. So since we're talking about arena, let's go into arena. With arena, you know, there's a lot of things going around you. You don't want the latency or the game to lag, especially when you're swinging. Your arm is still up here and you already swung down there. It was actually really good. Arena mode, I really, you know, I had a better experience and performance in arena mode. I was getting 78 to 88 frames a second. I was in there for about half an hour. I played several matches. It was fun. I was just shocked. Like, I was just like, oh, this is a laptop. Let me just keep playing and having some fun. And with a laptop, Blade and Sorcery was amazing. It was very surprising that this laptop so far has held up on these 4 games, especially, you know, with a first-person shooter game with multiplayer, and Blade and Sorcery. So I mean, Blade and Sorcery, you have, like, generally if animations are further from you, they're easier to process, but you literally have animations and like fire and all this stuff in your left hand. So I figured, oh, this is for sure gonna drop the frames. No, it was perfectly smooth. It didn't have any issues. I started messing around and you know, seeing how, okay, if I grabbed this person and threw him in the air, would it stutter? Would it? Nope, no problem at all. Bladed Sorcery, another solid experience. Now, for Half-Life Alyx, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I have not played this game yet. Don't hate me. I've been waiting for a better headset to come out. I wanted to experience it on, you know, a beefier headset like Valve Index, but I'm holding off for the Deckard. I'm holding off for beefier headsets, but that's not happening anytime soon. So I went and waited till I got the B Haptics vest. I just got it in, so I'm finally get to play it. But I figured for this test, I have to play Half-Life Alyx now. So I went only in like the first 20 minutes of the game. I didn't go too far. I just wanted to see the environment. I want to see how it processed everything. I wanted to see how it would be when there's you know, some shooting, some movement around, and different objects moving in front of me. So for Half-Life Alyx, I'm really curious because I know a lot of people want to know how this ran. So before I start, just take a guess in your head how the experience was going to be. Just pause the video, take a guess, think about it, write it down, whatever. But here we go. So for Half-Life Alyx, was by far the best performing game for what it was. For a story-based immersive game, I felt like it performed a lot better. I'm not saying in terms of numbers. You're seeing on the screen, it's a very detailed immersive environment. For what it is, it's very impressive that I even ran on the 2070 with 80 frames a second consistently, guys. There was one instance you'll see in the video when the guards took me and blasted me in the face. It dropped to 60 frames and it just went black because that's the cutscene. That was it. Everything else was about 80 to 90 frames a second. 80 to 90 frames a second. Now, if a lot of things were happening, it would do a quick dip to 75 and back up to 80. I was like insanely shocked. I was insanely shocked that I was able to get 80 frames a second in such a detailed environment. Again, it is medium graphics. It's not ultra or high. It's medium graphics. And if you're someone that has a Quest 2 out there and has a gaming PC and only plays on the Quest 2 and never experienced Half-Life Alyx, play Half-Life Alyx off your laptop. You're gonna have fun. If you're not planning on getting a headset anytime soon, just go ahead and play it. Game is definitely replayable. A lot of different mods. It's definitely enjoyable. I'm telling you guys this. I'm still shocked that Half-Life Alyx ran smoothly off a laptop with an older GPU, a mobile GPU. They're not like desktop GPUs. A smaller 2070 mobile GPU with a 10th gen Intel processor at 6 cores, so 12 threads. It's very impressive off of a 2.5 SSD. Very impressed. If you have a laptop out there, play Half-Life Alyx. All right, guys, that's it for the tests. Now, if you have a laptop, a gaming laptop, boom, done. You're good to go. You got a 20 series laptop and above, you should be good to go. If you're trying to buy a laptop, it's out there. It's available. You can play VR games on a gaming laptop if you don't want to get a desktop or can't afford one. If you're trying to buy a laptop with a 3060, that I'm not sure. It should still run, but I would watch some videos or do some comparisons on the 2070 mobile with the 3060 mobile, see how they are. But for the most part, gaming laptops are more than capable. They're not the best experience out there compared to desktops, but it's pretty much really good for a laptop, and it's still enjoyable. You're still gonna have fun. May not be the most detailed in terms of resolution, but it's smooth, it's enjoyable, you'll have a lot of fun. Please comment down below, guys, if you enjoyed this video, what your thoughts were. Do you want to see more videos like this? Do you want to see different types of videos, gameplay, or tell me about do you have a gaming laptop? Which gaming laptop do you have, and what games in VR have you played off that gaming laptop? Would you like for me to test different types of VR games on the laptop? Comment below any of those suggestions. Please smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Take care, guys. Mo Beast signing out. See you guys in the meta.